Tonight, one person is dead and 2 others are hurt after a shooting at Fort Bragg here in North Carolina. Taking a look at the top stories trending at 10 o'clock. A woman had millions of dollars and didn't even know it. She found out just in the nick of time. Fewer people around here are getting jobless benefits. Last October, the unemployment rate in Charlotte was 10.6%. That number tonight is 8.9%. There is a celebration today for a program helping hundreds of kids in Charlotte, and the Charlotte Observer is now joining the rest of them. We'll be back with more news and sports. It is time for Trending at 10. The first story is trending simply because of the outrage surrounding it. A mother is under arrest in Arizona tonight for reportedly putting beer in her 2-year-old son's sippy cup.
Yes, Paul, that is true. But right now what I want to do is bring in reporter Steve Crump, certainly a veteran for our station. And Steve, what's next for Charlotte, do you think? You've been running all around this convention. You have a great perspective on it.
Tonight, Charlotte is alive. It is the start of the Democratic National Convention with a sense of energy permeating throughout the city. Good evening, and thanks for being here. I'm Molly Grantham.
And I'm Paul Cameron. Welcome, everyone. Molly, the headliner tonight was the First Lady. We just heard Michelle Obama, and she did not disappoint.
No, she did not disappoint this crowd, Paul. She was really here to help pump up this crowd as the final speaker tonight and kick off this DNC convention, speak to these delegates. They were on their feet virtually the whole time. Vice President Joe Biden is here in the arena right now. He was watching her, as well as thousands of others. The First Lady trying to follow up her very successful speech from the 2008 DNC.
Molly, I thought the speeches tonight sounded fairly flat until William Jefferson Clinton took the stage for a very long one.
Very long is the key there, 20 minutes longer than expected, Paul. It was big. The whole night was really big, and then we got to Clinton, and he really brought it home. Last night, of course, the First Lady's address was something people talked about. They needed Clinton to be the weapon the Democrats were counting on, and as you just noted, he certainly was. As if you needed the exclamation point after the speech, look who walked out on stage. Surprise guest, President of the United States, Barack Obama, in the house. He didn't say anything. He gave him a hug. He waved. They walked off together. The crowd did go crazy when Clinton took to the stage tonight. Some political analysts say President Clinton and President Obama have a cool relationship, but that is not what we heard or saw. Okay, so let's do the tally. In this house right now, we've got 2 presidents. A Vice President, Joe Biden, is here, a First Lady, and a room full of high-ranking Democrats. We also have a lot going on outside of Time Warner Cable Arena. David Spunt is live. So, David, what do you have?
Let's begin our team coverage tonight live with WBTV's anchor Molly Grantham at the arena. Molly, the President had to absolutely thrill the crowd this evening.
He was thrilling. This is what everybody's been waiting for all week, Paul. President Obama was trying to recapture the magic he had 4 years ago at the convention there. He was trying to win another 4 years back in the White House. When he came on stage, people erupted here inside Time Warner Cable Arena. And as a surprise for the crowd, it was his wife, Michelle, who introduced him. The media was not told that was going to happen, so people went nuts. The venue here, much smaller than planned. No Bank of America Stadium, but that did not seem to make a difference. We have a live picture of Time Warner Cable Arena right now. Again, 23,000 people can fit in here, which is much smaller than the number of people that had passes. Tens of thousands of people were not allowed inside here. This was so jam-packed, it's actually warm. There's so many bodies. This arena is never this jam-packed. Brigida Mack has our live coverage tonight. She's been with some of the people that were, well, they were locked out. Brigida, you spent the night talking with some of them. I'm guessing there was some frustration.
WBTV anchor Molly Grantham joins us live right now from TWC. And Molly, you have a special guest.
Yeah, surprise, Paul. Look who we just ran into moseying through the hallway. Mayor Anthony Fox, thanks so much for stopping down with us live for a second or two.
Absolutely. I'm looking for something to do now.
Oh, I bet. You know, you've had a long week. So what is your impression, your takeaway as soon as it's over? I mean, it's been wrapped up for about 20 minutes. Your gut reaction takeaway?
This has been an enormous event for Charlotte. You know, growing up here and seeing the city come from a city that was trying hard to get an NBA team and then trying hard to get an NFL team, and the bank's getting bigger but still struggling to develop a national and international identity. I think we got a home run this week. People see this city. They know it now. We're not getting confused with anybody else. Charlotte is now on the map. That's what we wanted.
What were you hearing, good and bad, about the city that the impression was going out there?
Well, you know, I think the expectation level coming in was pretty low. People didn't know anything about North Carolina or Charlotte in particular other than what they read in newspapers. And what they saw here was a community that was hospitable, people who were extremely friendly, a community that was prepared for this event and did just about flawless execution in every aspect of the convention.
It has been a very long week. What's the #1 moment for you that stands out?
Oh, there's so many, but I'd have to say that this week set a very different tone than Tampa from a political standpoint. I'm obviously interested in the outcome of the election, and I just thought that the week built up exactly the right way. And I think people now understand the perspective of the president and the fact that we do have a choice this November, and I hope North Carolina can go blue.
So you're saying that the speech was the #1 moment for you, tonight's speech?
Well, it was the collection of speeches. I mean, I think the First Lady was amazing, President Clinton was amazing, and then President Obama. That three set of speeches, I think, really told the entire story of the president's side on this election.
Last question. It's an easy one. It's quick. How tired are you?
Oh, my goodness. Can we do another one next week?
I don't think so, because I'm exhausted. Mayor Fox, thanks so much for stopping by. We really appreciate talking to you. Okay, have a good rest of the week for what's left of it. Paul, we're going to send it back to you, and then we'll come back here live at the convention.
And I'm Molly Grantham. Maybe you've seen our cut-ins throughout the night on WBTV. This next half hour will be more in-depth coverage of the many races we are following here. We're glad you're with us. Let's begin with the biggest race in North Carolina. Former Charlotte Mayor Republican Pat McCrory won governor of North Carolina. Steve Crump is covering McCrory's campaign. David Wisnett is with Dalton in Raleigh. Let's go ahead and hit Steve Crump first. Steve, we heard McCrory give his victory speech earlier. What is the tone like now? Steve, you have covered politics for a long time and certainly covered McCrory. You could tell he was interested to talk to you as you squeezed your microphone in there to get a chance with him tonight. Thank you, Steve. After months of campaigning, Paul, and several heated debates, President Barack Obama and Mitt Romney duking it out. President Obama and Mitt Romney have pulled in several states. The North Carolina District 9 congressional seat is up for grabs. That district covers parts of Mecklenburg, Union, and Iredell counties. Republican Robert Pittenger, Democrat Jennifer Roberts, and Libertarian Curtis Campbell, they've been battling it out for the seat left vacant by Republican Congresswoman Sue Myrick. We're going to go ahead and get to David Spunt. He is live right now at Pittenger's camp, where Pittenger was expected to win, David, but it's not been called yet, at least not that we're seeing. Are you hearing it differently? Our numbers on WBTV.com show Pittenger right now ahead by 15,000 votes, so it's not that it's being called, but it does seem to be in Pittenger's favor, although that's 70% of precincts reporting. Again, as Pittenger said, and as David just said, he's being delayed and going up on stage. It's because they are not certain, and that's something that certainly Jennifer Roberts in itself has to take as some kind of victory in the fact that it's not been called. District 8 covers several counties, including much of Union, Cabarrus, Anson, Richmond, Stanley, and a small part of Mecklenburg County. Democrat incumbent Larry Kissel is facing off against Republican challenger Richard Hudson. We know that Richard Hudson has won and that Kissel has gone ahead and given his concession speech. Melissa Hankins is live now at Richard Hudson's headquarters. Melissa, we haven't heard from you yet tonight. You're at the Hilton Garden Inn in Concord. What's going on? We have all kinds of races all across the city, and something else that we haven't talked a lot about tonight at all would be the weather. Speaking of those election results, we want to go ahead and get back to the presidential race and how North Carolina is voting. Jamie Bull is live in the studio. Jamie, what do you have? Welcome to Election Night Campaign 2012 coverage. We want to welcome all the WBTV viewers for this live cut-in. We are also talking to our MyTV 12 viewers on our 10 o'clock news on another channel. We are all here tonight following all of the election coverage.
New at 11 o'clock, it is the oldest case in CMPD's files.
A cold case, only not so cold anymore. A missing woman. She was young, she was pretty smart, and suddenly in 1975, she was gone. Late last fall, CMPD got a break after 37 years. And tonight, we take a hard look into this dusty file and find new information never reported.
She was really smart. She was the pretty one in the family.
Priscilla Blevin's story is one that stays with you, mainly because there's no end. There are personal mementos.
It's called an ID bracelet.
Childhood pictures, dental records, even postcards Priscilla wrote her sister. But
this is all there is.
One manila folder is all that's left. In July of 1975, Priscilla walked out of her apartment on Tyvola Road. As her sister, Kathy Howe, points out, the apartments no longer exist. The area is now a school parking lot.
She was last seen by her roommate, and then my parents were contacted.
It was one of those cases where it does get you, it grabs you.
CMPD Detective Lee Tuttle was handed the case in 2000. By that time, it was ice cold.
When I got involved, the only thing I was able to find with the police department was 2 sheets of paper on microfiche.
Another 10 years went by.
She was just missing. She was just gone.
In 2010, Tuttle took a swab of Kathy's cheek, thinking her DNA would be similar to Priscilla's and he could enter it in a new national DNA database. Kathy's DNA churned in that database for 2 years. Last October, it got a hit.
I got a phone call from the medical examiner's office in Chapel Hill, and it literally, I mean, it was like a shock to me.
Detective Lee Tuttle called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, "Can I come and see you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he came and he sat right where you're sitting and he said, "We found Priscilla."
They found Priscilla here, her bones, tossed into a grassy area right over the guardrail alongside I-40 in Haywood County, 2.5 hours from Charlotte. They were found in 1985. It wasn't until Kathy's DNA got in the system the bones were identified.
I do not think she died of natural causes and ended up on the side of the road in Haywood County.
You're being tame.
I am being tamed.
What do you think happened to your sister?
I think she died a tragic death.
We took a hard look at that 1975 police report. A never-before-reported fact jumped out at us. Priscilla's roommate had been a man. And wouldn't you know, he still lives in Charlotte. We stopped by. We called. We even left a note. We hadn't asked one question or even mentioned Priscilla's name when he emailed back saying, "The past should be left in the past." Police say they got the same type of response.
Was he helpful?
I don't really consider it helpful.
Tuttle says he doesn't know if they'll ever figure out exactly what happened.
I hope that eventually that they discover exactly how she got to Haywood County
and what mystery, how she got there.
Well, that's one of them.
But Kathy, who still has deep sorrow,
I didn't get to have a sister.
says she will always have hope.
I mean, you know, keep the faith. 37 years later, hey, keep the faith. It's free. Faith is free.
Don't talk to that woman, Kathy, about the impossible. She is not a good candidate for that conversation because who would have ever believed, except maybe a wishful sister, Priscilla would have been found to begin with.
Molly, take me back to the 70s. What was Priscilla doing that might jog someone's memory?
That's a great question. Well, her apartment on Tyvola Road, of course, they're gone, but if you lived in that area, she also worked at Ivy's at Cotswold Mall. If you think you have any information, you can either call Crime Stoppers at 704-334-1600 or email me. I'll get you in touch with the detective directly. My email is mgrantham@wbtv.com. We also have a web extra on our website right now, wbtv.com, with more information. I'm Molly Grantham. Tonight, Duncan Binham is in jail in Charlotte. He has just pleaded guilty to raping 2 teens back in 2009. He's been arrested more than a dozen times before. This time, though, he will not be getting out anytime soon. We are learning new details about a couple found dead in their Northwest Charlotte home Thursday. Police say a man came home to find the bodies of his parents, Clyde and Ida Valentine. Many people from around the world are already in New York right now waiting for the race. The race has been up in the air for days. Do you think officials waited too long to cancel it? Get on my Facebook page, WBTV's Molly Grantham. Tell us what you think. We'll be reading some comments coming up in Trending at 10. If you are in the market for a new car, officials warn some of these flood-damaged cars up north could end up on car lots in the south. WBTV's Brigida Mack is live tonight. She's here with some tips to keep you from getting ripped off. What should people look for, Brigida? Tomorrow is the last day of early voting in North Carolina, and voters came out today to take full advantage. The Obama campaign making final pushes ahead of Election Day. Dr. Jill Biden was in North Carolina today. She talked with supporters at the Obama campaign field office in Huntersville this afternoon. Both candidates talked jobs. New numbers out show a gain of 171,000 jobs added in October. Tonight, an investigation into a cyber attack on the South Carolina Department of Revenue shows it was possible to prevent hackers from stealing millions of people's information.